Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are sitting in a quiet room, holding a piece of paper. On it, you have written exactly how much wealth you want, when you want it, and what you are willing to do in exchange for it. You can almost feel the money in your hands. You can see the life you will live once it arrives. For a brief moment, it feels real. Now here is the secret. This is not just imagination. This is the beginning of Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill did not write this book out of theory. He spent more than 20 years of his life studying the most successful people in the world. Men like Andrew Carnegie, who built steel empires, Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automobile industry, Thomas Edison, who gave the world electric light. What did they have in common? Was it luck? Was it education? Was it intelligence? No. The answer was simpler, yet more powerful. They all followed a set of principles that could be repeated by anyone willing to learn. This book is about those principles. It is a map, and every map needs a starting point. Think of success as a building. You cannot start with the roof. You must first lay a strong foundation. Hill shows us that the foundation of all success, whether in wealth, relationships, or achievement, begins with one single thing. Not money, not opportunity, not connections. It begins with desire. The first chapter takes us straight into this truth, that desire is the seed of every achievement. Without it, nothing moves. With it, impossible things become possible. Chapter 1. Desire, the starting point of all achievement. Every great achievement begins not with money, not with talent, not even with opportunity. It begins with desire. Napoleon Hill calls desire the starting point of all achievement. Think of it like a seed. If you plant a weak seed, it may never grow. But if the seed is strong, and you nurture it daily, it will break through the soil, reach for the sunlight, and one day turn into a tree. In the same way, desire must be strong, clear, and unshakable. Wishing is not enough. A wish is weak, like saying, "I would like to be rich someday." But a burning desire says, "I will be rich. I will achieve this specific goal, and I will not stop until I get there." Hill gives the example of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had a single burning desire, to become a business partner with the great inventor Thomas Edison. Barnes had no money, no special education, not even a train ticket to Edison's office. But his desire was so strong that he traveled on a freight train just to meet Edison. When he arrived, he told Edison that he wanted to work with him. Not for him, but with him. At first, Edison only gave him a small job. Yet, Barnes did not give up. He held on to his desire. Years later, when Edison needed a partner to sell his new dictating machine, Barnes was ready. His persistence and burning desire transformed into success. This story teaches us something powerful. Circumstances may not be perfect, but if your desire is strong enough, you will find a way. Hill explains that in order to turn desire into reality, you must make it definite. He gives a 6-step formula. Decide exactly how much money or success you want. Fix a date by which you want to achieve it. Determine what you are willing to give in return. Time, effort, skill. Create a clear plan and begin at once. Write down a statement of your desire. How much, by when, and through what method. Read this statement aloud twice every day, once in the morning and once before sleeping. This is more than just writing a goal. It is about planting that desire deep into your subconscious mind so it becomes part of you. Now here is the key connection. Desire alone is not enough. You can want something deeply, but if you don't believe it is possible, your mind will sabotage you. You must add faith. Desire is the seed, but faith is the water that makes the seed grow. Without faith, desire dries up. With faith, desire transforms into unstoppable power. And that leads us to the next chapter. Chapter 2. Faith. Visualization and belief in the attainment of desire. If desire is the seed of success, then faith is the soil and water that allows that seed to grow. Without faith, desire remains only a dream. With faith, desire transforms into belief, and belief drives action. Napoleon Hill explains that faith is not something you are born with. It can be created, nurtured, and strengthened. Faith is a state of mind. And like any state of mind, it can be developed through practice. But here's the challenge. Most people say, "I'll believe it when I see it." Hill flips this idea. He says, "You will see it only when you first believe it." Success begins with an inner conviction before the outside world shows proof. Think about Thomas Edison. He failed more than 10,000 times before finally inventing the light bulb. Do you think he would have kept going if he did not have faith? Every failure could have destroyed his desire, but faith whispered, "You will succeed. Keep trying." That faith kept him moving when logic told him to quit. Faith works by influencing your subconscious mind. And the best way to build faith is through repeated affirmations and visualizations. If you say to yourself every morning and night, "I am capable, I will achieve this. I believe in my success." So, your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. Over time, you actually start acting with more confidence, taking bigger steps and attracting opportunities. Hill reminds us that faith mixed with desire is like electricity mixed with a light bulb. It creates illumination. Desire without faith is just a wish. But desire with faith becomes power. He also warns that faith can work both ways. If you constantly fill your mind with fear, doubt, and negative beliefs, your subconscious will believe those too. And then, failure will grow instead of success. This is why guarding your thoughts is so important. And now comes the question. How do you actually train your mind to believe in your desires? How do you make sure your subconscious accepts your goals instead of your fears? The answer is in the next chapter, Autosuggestion. This is the tool, the daily practice, that builds faith and programs your subconscious mind for success. Chapter 3. Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. So far, we've learned that desire is the starting point and faith is the power that brings it alive. But how do you make sure faith stays strong every single day? How do you stop your subconscious mind from falling back into doubt and fear? The answer is autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is simply the practice of feeding your subconscious mind with repeated positive instructions. Think of your subconscious like a fertile field. Whatever you plant in it, good or bad, will grow. If you plant seeds of confidence, wealth, and success, they will take root. If you allow seeds of fear, doubt, and failure, those will grow too. Autosuggestion is your way of choosing what to plant. Napoleon Hill gives us a simple method. Write down your desire in clear detail. How much money you want, when you want it, and what you will give in return. Then, read this written statement aloud twice every day, once in the morning and once at night. But here's the key. Don't just read it mechanically. Visualize it. Feel it. Imagine that you already possess the money or the goal. See yourself living that reality. At first, your mind may resist. You might think, "This feels silly. I don't believe it yet." But repetition is powerful. With enough practice, the words sink into your subconscious and begin to shape your beliefs. And once your subconscious accepts something as true, your actions naturally align to make it real. Think of athletes before a big game. They often visualize themselves winning again and again. They imagine the crowd cheering, the final score, the trophy in their hands. This mental rehearsal programs their subconscious to believe in victory, and that belief fuels their performance. Autosuggestion is not magic. It doesn't make success fall from the sky. What it does is rewire your inner world, so your outer actions are driven by confidence and clarity, rather than fear and hesitation. But here is the important part. Autosuggestion works only when combined with specialized knowledge. Repeating affirmations is not enough if you don't also gain the knowledge and skills to make your goals real. That is why the next chapter shows us how knowledge, not just any knowledge, but specialized knowledge, becomes the true foundation for wealth and success. Chapter 4. Specialized Knowledge. Personal Experiences or Observations. By now you understand that desire gives you a goal, faith gives you belief, and autosuggestion programs your mind. But none of these matter if you do not also equip yourself with the right knowledge. Napoleon Hill makes a powerful distinction. Knowledge is not power. Yes, you heard that right. Knowledge becomes power only when it is organized and applied for a definite purpose. Look around you. Universities are filled with people who know a lot, yet many of them never achieve wealth or success. Why? Because general knowledge, random facts, theories, or trivia, has little use without direction. On the other hand, specialized knowledge, specific, focused information related to your definite purpose, can change everything. Hill gives an example. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, was not highly educated in the traditional sense. He did not know everything about engineering, accounting, or management. In fact, some people even mocked him for his lack of general knowledge. But Ford was a genius at one thing: organizing people with specialized knowledge. When he needed technical advice, he simply called his team of experts. He did not need to know everything himself. He only needed to know how to access the right knowledge at the right time. This chapter teaches us that you do not need to be a walking encyclopedia. You need to focus on knowledge that directly serves your goal. If your desire is to be a great musician, you don't need to master physics or chemistry. You need deep, specialized knowledge of music. If your goal is business success, you need specialized knowledge of your market, your products, and how to serve your customers better than anyone else. And here is the encouraging part. You don't always need to personally own the knowledge. You can borrow it. You can hire experts, build a team, or form alliances. What matters is that the knowledge is available and applied. Now here's where the magic happens. Specialized knowledge alone is not enough either. You may gather all the knowledge in the world, but unless you can use your imagination to combine it into new ideas, new products, and new opportunities, it remains just information. And that is why the next chapter takes us into the most exciting workshop of all. Imagination, the place where knowledge is transformed into real-world achievements. Chapter 5. Imagination, the workshop of the mind. So far, we have gathered the tools: desire, faith, autosuggestion, and specialized knowledge. But how do we actually use them to build something new? The answer lies in imagination. Napoleon Hill calls imagination the workshop of the mind. It is the place where dreams are shaped, where ideas are born, and where plans begin to take form. Think for a moment. Every great invention, every great business, every piece of art that ever existed was first nothing more than an idea in someone's mind. Airplanes, electricity, smartphones, even this very book. All of it started in imagination before it became real. Hill explains that imagination works in two forms. 1. Synthetic imagination. This is when you take old ideas and rearrange them into something new. It is like a chef using the same ingredients but creating a fresh recipe. Most businesses and inventions are built this way, by improving or combining existing things. 2. Creative imagination. This is more powerful. It is when new ideas come to you as flashes of inspiration, hunches, or sudden insights. Creative imagination connects you to what Hill calls infinite intelligence, something beyond logic, a deeper source of creativity. Great geniuses like Edison, Shakespeare, or Einstein often relied on this type of imagination. But here's the truth. Imagination is like a muscle. If you do not use it, it becomes weak. If you train it daily, it grows stronger. That is why you must constantly practice visualizing your goals, brainstorming new ideas, and daring to think differently. Hill reminds us of the story of Edwin C. Barnes once again. Barnes had nothing, no money, no connections, but he had imagination. He pictured himself as Edison's business partner long before it was real. He held that picture so strongly in his mind that eventually it became reality. So, how do you apply imagination? Start by visualizing your desire as already real. Then ask yourself, what ideas, what plans, what steps can I take to make this happen? Write them down. Experiment. Allow your mind to play. Some ideas will fail, others will shine. But remember, every success you seek must first be built in the workshop of your imagination before it can be built in the outside world. And this leads us to the next principle. Imagination alone is not enough. Dreams remain floating in the air unless they are turned into organized plans. This is where desire becomes action, where ideas become step-by-step strategies. So let us step into the next chapter. Organized planning, the crystallization of desire into action. Chapter 6. Organized planning, the crystallization of desire into action. Imagination gives birth to ideas, but without a plan, ideas remain daydreams. This is why Napoleon Hill calls organized planning the crystallization of desire into action. It is the bridge between wishing and doing. Think of it like this. Desire is your destination. Imagination is your vision of the map, and planning is the vehicle that takes you there. Without a vehicle, you may know where you want to go, but you will never arrive. Hill explains that successful people always back their desires with clear, organized plans. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They start with what they have, where they are, and then adjust along the way. He also reminds us of something powerful. No plan is perfect the first time. Most people fail because they give up when their first plan doesn't work. But winners know that temporary defeat is only feedback. They refine the plan, create a new one, and keep moving. Failure is never final unless you quit. Now here comes the most important part. You cannot always do it alone. Hill strongly advises forming a mastermind group, a team of people who share your vision and can offer specialized knowledge, creativity, and support. Henry Ford surrounded himself with engineers, mechanics, and business minds. Andrew Carnegie had a group of advisors who helped him build his steel empire. Success multiplies when great minds work together, but teamwork is not enough. Organized planning requires discipline. You must schedule your actions, assign responsibilities, and measure results. Think of it as building a house. You don't randomly place bricks. You follow a blueprint. In the same way, every step toward your goal should follow an intentional design. Hill also warns us about one dangerous trap: procrastination. Many people spend their whole lives planning but never acting. They keep waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect partner. But perfection never comes. The winners are those who act on their plans, even if imperfect, and improve as they move forward. So here is the lesson. Create your plan, start at once, and if the plan fails, replace it with a better one. Keep going until success is achieved. And now, this takes us naturally into the next principle. For plans to work, you must have the ability to make quick, firm decisions. Without decision, plans remain on paper. With decision, they leap into action. So, in the next chapter, Hill teaches us how mastering decision and overcoming procrastination separates winners from losers. Chapter 7. Decision, the mastery of procrastination. Imagine two people standing at a crossroads. Both know where they want to go. Both have a map in their hands, but one person boldly takes a step forward, while the other hesitates, overthinks, and waits. Which one reaches the destination? Napoleon Hill makes it clear. Decision is the turning point of success. He discovered that wealthy, successful people share one habit. They make decisions quickly and firmly. Once made, they rarely change them. On the other hand, unsuccessful people take a long time to decide and often change their minds again and again. Indecision is the twin brother of procrastination. Together, they are the killers of success. How many dreams have died because someone said, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll wait until the time is right." The truth is, there is no perfect moment. The right time is always now. Hill gives us the example of the American Declaration of Independence. The 56 men who signed it knew they might face death for their decision, but they made it quickly and stood by it firmly. Their boldness shaped history. The lesson here is simple. Successful people decide, unsuccessful people delay. But here's the challenge. Making a decision often feels risky. What if it's the wrong choice? Hill reminds us that even a wrong decision is better than no decision. Why? Because action produces feedback. A wrong path still teaches you something, and you can adjust. Indecision, however, teaches you nothing. It only keeps you stuck. Hill also warns about the danger of being too influenced by the opinions of others. If you constantly seek approval before making a choice, you will never build confidence. Most great leaders make decisions based on their own judgment, not on the gossip or doubts of the crowd. So, here's the formula. Decide what you want. Decide what step you will take next, and then take it boldly and without hesitation. But remember, making a decision is only the beginning. Once you decide, you will face obstacles. People will doubt you. Failures will test you. And here is where the next principle becomes critical. Persistence. Because without persistence, even the strongest decision will collapse under pressure. With persistence, every decision can carry you through to success. Chapter 8. Persistence. The sustained effort. Necessary to induce faith. Picture this. You decide to climb a mountain. At the bottom, you feel strong and excited. You look up at the peak and imagine the view from the top. But as you climb, the path gets harder. Your legs ache, the air gets thinner, and the journey feels endless. Most people stop halfway. Only a few keep climbing, step after step, no matter how tired they feel. And those few are the ones who reach the top. That is persistence. Napoleon Hill teaches us that persistence is the invisible bridge between desire and success. Desire gives you the spark. Faith keeps the spark alive. But persistence turns that spark into fire. Without persistence, even the greatest ideas fade into nothing. With persistence, even ordinary people achieve extraordinary victories. Persistence is not about one huge effort. It is about steady effort. It is about getting up every day and taking one more step, even when you feel like stopping. Many people quit after their first defeat. They see failure as the end. But winners see failure differently. They use it as a teacher. They ask, "What can I learn? How can I try again?" Hill reminds us of stories that prove this truth. Thomas Edison kept trying after thousands of failed experiments until he discovered the light bulb. Colonel Sanders carried his fried chicken recipe from restaurant to restaurant, facing rejection after rejection, until one day someone finally said yes. These stories show us that persistence is more powerful than talent, luck, or education. But persistence does not appear by accident. It grows out of habits. It grows when you have a clear purpose that pulls you forward. It grows when your desire burns so strongly that nothing can put it out. It grows when you believe in yourself enough to stand tall, even in the storm. It grows when your plans are definite, when your knowledge is accurate, and when your willpower refuses to let fear take control. Most importantly, persistence grows stronger when you surround yourself with supportive people who lift you higher instead of dragging you down. Think of persistence as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you push forward despite difficulty, you are training your persistence. Every time you refuse to give up, you are building the inner strength that no obstacle can break. And here lies a powerful secret. Persistence becomes easier and far more effective when it is shared. One determined mind is strong. But when many determined minds join together in harmony, persistence turns into a driving force that can change industries, societies, even history itself. That, Napoleon Hill says, is the power of the mastermind. The next great step toward riches. Chapter 9. The power of the mastermind. The driving force. Imagine two candles burning in a dark room. Each gives off a small glow. Now bring the flames close together, and suddenly the light doubles, then spreads further than either candle could alone. That is the secret of the mastermind. Napoleon Hill explains that no great fortune, no lasting success, is ever created by one person alone. Behind every great achievement is a group of people working together in harmony, sharing ideas, and combining their energy. This combination of minds creates a third, invisible power, greater than the sum of its parts. Hill calls this power the mastermind. Think about the industrial giants of the past. Henry Ford did not build his automobile empire alone. He surrounded himself with people whose knowledge filled the gaps in his own. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, openly admitted that his fortune was the result of his master mind group, men with specialized knowledge, working together toward a single vision. The truth is, no one knows everything. But by joining forces with others, you do not need to. When you bring together different talents, different perspectives, and different experiences, you create a pool of knowledge far richer than anything one person could achieve. Even more importantly, you create an atmosphere of encouragement and belief. Where one person might grow tired, the group strengthens them. Where one person might see failure, another sees opportunity. The mastermind is not just about business, it is about life itself. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and believe in you. Their energy will flow into you, and your energy will flow into them. Together, you will achieve things that would seem impossible if you were alone. Hill also reminds us that harmony is essential. The mastermind does not work in chaos or conflict. It thrives only when people are united by trust, respect, and a shared goal. This harmony produces something extraordinary. An almost electric energy that fuels persistence, creativity, and courage. And here is where the connection becomes fascinating. When human energy is harmonized and directed, it multiplies. And one of the most powerful forms of human energy is sexual energy. Often misunderstood, it holds immense creative force. When redirected, it can drive imagination, ambition, and achievement to new heights. That is the subject of the next chapter. A mystery that has inspired some of the greatest minds in history. It is called The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. Chapter 10. The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. This is perhaps the most unusual and surprising chapter in the entire book. Napoleon Hill tells us that one of the strongest human desires, one of the most powerful driving forces in life, is sexual energy. Left uncontrolled, it can lead to distraction, waste, and even destruction. But when redirected, or transmuted, this same energy can become the fuel for extraordinary achievement. What does transmutation mean? It means to transform one form of energy into another. Just as water can be turned into steam, and steam can power an engine, sexual energy can be turned into creativity, ambition, persistence, and genius. History is filled with examples of people whose great works were powered by this transformation. Many of the world's greatest leaders, inventors, and artists were people of strong passion. Instead of letting that passion control them, they learned to channel it into their work, their dreams, and their creations. Their energy, once focused, became a force that shook the world. Hill is careful to say that there is nothing wrong with the natural desire itself. It is a vital part of human life. The key is in learning how to control it, not suppress it, but guide it toward higher purposes. When sexual energy is combined with imagination, desire, and persistence, it produces a magnetic personality. It gives confidence, charm, and a kind of aura that draws opportunities and people closer. Think of it this way. Energy is energy. Where you direct it determines the result. If you scatter it, it is wasted. If you focus it, it becomes power. Many people never learn this secret, and so their lives become cycles of distraction. But those who master it can rise to heights they never imagined. And here lies the link to the next great principle. Transmuted energy, once directed, must have a channel to flow through. That channel is the subconscious mind, the invisible connection between thought and reality. The subconscious is the garden where energy and desire grow into results. And that is what we will explore in the next chapter. Chapter 11. The subconscious mind. The connecting link. Imagine a quiet garden hidden deep within you. Whatever seeds you plant, there will grow, whether they are flowers or weeds. That garden is your subconscious mind. It never sleeps, it never stops working, and it accepts whatever you feed into it. Napoleon Hill explains that the subconscious mind is the bridge between your conscious thoughts and the infinite intelligence of the universe. It takes the emotions you feel most strongly, faith, love, fear, or desire, and turns them into reality. It is the silent partner shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. This is why it is so important to feed it carefully. Every time you repeat an affirmation, every time you visualize your goal, you are planting seeds of faith in this inner garden. And just as surely, every time you dwell on fear, doubt, or anger, you are planting seeds of failure. The subconscious makes no judgment. It simply accepts what you give it and sets events into motion to match those thoughts. Hill urges us to use the power of autosuggestion, the daily practice of speaking and thinking positive thoughts with emotion, to direct the subconscious mind. But it is not just words. It is the feeling behind the words that matters. When you combine desire with belief and repeat it daily, the subconscious absorbs it until it becomes part of your nature. Think of it as a constant broadcast tower. It sends your thoughts outward into the world, but it also receives impressions from the world around you. That is why the company you keep, the environment you live in, and the emotions you dwell on all leave deep marks upon your subconscious. The subconscious mind, then, is not only the link between your desires and reality, it is also the tool for connecting with something larger than yourself. Hill believed it to be the medium through which we tune into infinite intelligence, the source of inspiration and creative ideas that seem to appear out of nowhere. And this brings us to the next step. If the subconscious is the garden, then the brain is the soil and the broadcasting station. It is the physical organ through which thought energy flows out into the universe and receives energy back. To truly understand the power of thought, we must now turn to the brain. Chapter 12. The Brain. A broadcasting and receiving station for thought. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a radio. When you tune the dial, it can catch signals from the air and play music or voices from miles away. Your brain, Napoleon Hill tells us, works in a very similar way. It is both a broadcasting station and a receiving station for thoughts. Every thought you hold in your mind sends out vibrations. When those thoughts are mixed with strong emotions like desire, faith, or love, the vibrations become more powerful, more magnetic. They travel outward and attract similar thoughts, people, and circumstances. At the same time, your brain is always receiving. It picks up ideas, inspirations, and even feelings from the minds of others. This is why the company you keep is so important. Spend time with people full of fear and doubt, and you begin to feel fearful and doubtful yourself. Surround yourself with confident, ambitious minds, and your brain tunes into their energy. Hill explains that the human brain, especially when it is charged with burning desire, can reach beyond ordinary limits. It is like an antenna that connects you to the energy of the world around you. And the more you practice feeding it with clear thoughts and emotions, the more powerful this antenna becomes. Think of great inventors, leaders, or artists. Many of them described moments when ideas seemed to flow into their minds as if from another source. They were not just thinking, they were also receiving. Their brains acted as a channel through which creativity and inspiration poured in. The message here is simple but profound. Your brain is not just a physical organ. It is a tool of communication between you, other people, and even the infinite intelligence of the universe. Train it with strong thoughts. Guard it against negative ones. And use it as a transmitter to send your deepest desires out into the world. And when the brain is trained in this way, something even more mysterious begins to happen. You start to sense things without reason. You receive flashes of guidance, hunches, or sudden inspirations that point you in the right direction. This is not logic. It is not guesswork. It is something higher. Napoleon Hill calls it the sixth sense. And that is where our journey now takes us. Chapter 13. The Sixth Sense. The Door to the Temple of Wisdom. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest at night. The path ahead is dark, and no map can show you every stone or turn. Yet, something inside whispers which way to go. You cannot explain it. You cannot prove it. But you feel it. And when you follow it, you often find yourself exactly where you needed to be. Napoleon Hill calls this inner guidance the sixth sense. It is the final step, the crown of all the principles he has shared. While desire, faith, persistence, and organized planning build your foundation, the sixth sense opens a higher door, a connection to what he describes as infinite intelligence. This sense cannot be forced. It cannot be studied in textbooks. It develops naturally after you have practiced and lived by the other principles. The sixth sense is like a quiet friend who appears only after you have proved your readiness. It speaks through hunches, sudden ideas, flashes of inspiration, or an inner voice that seems wiser than your own thoughts. Many of the world's greatest leaders and creators admitted they relied on something beyond logic. Edison, Ford, and others often spoke of being guided by invisible forces, of receiving sudden answers to problems that had no clear solution. Hill himself described how he would imagine a council of invisible advisors, people like Abraham Lincoln, Napoleon Bonaparte, and others. And through this exercise, he received insights that shaped his work. The sixth sense is not superstition. It is the reward of a trained, disciplined mind. When your subconscious is filled with faith and desire, when your brain is tuned like a fine instrument, and when persistence has sharpened your character, you begin to tap into this mysterious gift. And here lies the true magic. The sixth sense often warns you of danger before it arrives. It can guide you toward opportunities you did not even know existed. It can act as your unseen compass in moments when logic is blind. But Hill gives a warning. The sixth sense cannot live in a mind full of fear. Fear blocks it, like dark clouds covering the sun. If you want to truly open the door to wisdom, you must first learn how to silence the six ghosts of fear, the inner enemies that keep so many people trapped. That is the final step on this journey. How to recognize, confront, and defeat the fears that quietly destroy success. Final section. How to outwit the six ghosts of fear. You can master desire. You can practice faith. You can train your mind through autosuggestion. You can build plans, persist, and even develop the sixth sense. But if fear controls you, all of it collapses. Fear is the silent thief that steals dreams. Napoleon Hill calls them the six ghosts of fear. They haunt every human being in one form or another. And unless we recognize them, they will hold us back. Let us walk into this haunted house of the mind and face these six ghosts one by one. The fear of poverty. This is the fear that whispers, "You will never have enough." It paralyzes people into inaction. They avoid risks, cling to safety, and settle for less. Poverty fear does not just mean lack of money. It means a mindset of scarcity. People controlled by it constantly expect loss, and so they attract it. The cure is confidence, bold action, and a burning belief that wealth begins in the mind before it appears in the bank. The fear of criticism. How many dreams have died because someone was afraid of what others might say? This fear makes people hide their ideas, silence their voices, and live smaller than they are meant to. They worry about gossip, rejection, or ridicule. But history shows that every great achiever faced criticism and pressed forward anyway. The cure is to value your own voice above the noise of others. The fear of ill health. This fear feeds on worry. People obsessed with sickness often imagine symptoms that are not even there. Their constant focus on disease makes their bodies weaker. Hill points out that the mind and body are deeply connected. When fear rules the mind, health suffers. The cure is replacing worry with constructive thoughts, building habits of care and strength, and refusing to let fear become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The fear of loss of love. This is the fear of being abandoned, cheated, or left alone. It creates jealousy, suspicion, and distrust. Relationships rot when poisoned by this fear. It is a ghost that chains people to insecurity. The cure is learning to love with confidence instead of fear, and recognizing that clinging destroys while trust builds. The fear of old age. Many people dread growing old. They see it as weakness, decline, and the end of joy. This fear makes them waste their present moments worrying about the future. But Hill reminds us that age can bring wisdom, freedom, and opportunities that youth cannot. The cure is to embrace each stage of life as a chance to learn and contribute, instead of treating age as an enemy. The fear of death. The final ghost is the fear of death. It is the root of all other fears. It makes people waste their lives in avoidance instead of living fully. But death, Hill reminds us, is not the end of life's purpose. It is simply part of the cycle. Those who fear death fear living. Those who accept it live more courageously. Breaking Free Hill warns us that these 6 ghosts often wear disguises. They appear as worry, doubt, hesitation, excuses, procrastination. You may not always see them, but they are there. And the only way to outwit them is to face them. Fear loses power when you shine the light of awareness upon it. Every principle in this book, desire, faith, persistence, imagination, organized planning, works only when fear is defeated. Fear closes the door to the 6th sense. Fear weakens the power of the mastermind. Fear kills desire before it can even bloom. But once you master fear, the path to riches, in money, in achievement, in life, opens wide. Conclusion: what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. We have now walked through all 13 principles of success. From desire, the spark that begins every journey, to faith, the belief that fuels it. From autosuggestion, which programs the subconscious, to imagination, which shapes ideas into reality. From organized planning and decisive action, to the steady force of persistence. From the combined energy of the mastermind, to the mystery of sex transmutation. From the deep power of the subconscious mind, to the broadcasting and receiving ability of the brain. And finally, to the 6th sense, the doorway to higher wisdom. Each principle is powerful on its own, but together they form a complete philosophy of success. They are not theories. They are not luck. They are laws of the mind and spirit, proven by the lives of those who came before us. Napoleon Hill's greatest lesson is simple. Thoughts are things. Whatever you hold in your mind with clarity and emotion, whatever you repeat with faith and persistence, eventually takes form in the world. Your circumstances may not be ideal, your resources may be limited, but your thoughts remain free. And those thoughts, when disciplined and focused, become the greatest wealth-building tool you will ever own. But there is one last warning. Fear is the enemy. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of losing love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. These silent ghosts wait for every dreamer. They whisper doubts. They plant hesitation. They weaken desire. And if you let them, they will steal your destiny. The way forward, Hill reminds us, is not to wait for perfect conditions. It is to begin where you are, with what you have, and to build your faith, your persistence, and your vision step by step. Success does not belong to the lucky. It belongs to the determined. So as this journey closes, remember these words. What the mind can conceive, and what the mind can believe, the mind can achieve. Your fortune, your future, your greatness, all of it begins in the invisible world of your thoughts. Guard them carefully, feed them wisely, and never stop believing in the power you already carry within you.